let's talk. We were talking defensive line, and I think one thing that I like about you, Sunil, is you're not with the shits. You usually are pretty level headed on things where people might run with the narrative or go kind of crazy, make something out of nothing, and you're usually the guy that's like, oh, just calm down. It's gonna be fine. All right, everything's gonna be good. The
Yeah.
fire could be all around you, and you're like, it's good. I got an extinguisher. We're fine. It's good. But
You're
Nick
right.
Bosa is still not signed right now and extended. He's signed by the team, but he has not been extended, and we know he's not going to play without being extended, and rightfully so. My prediction was he was going to be there for either the first or second padded practice, depending on when they made the announcement. Now, that didn't happen. They are now about to go into preseason week 1. Nick Bosa is still not signed. And I think that we all agree that there's almost 0% chance he doesn't suit up week 1, at least for now. But at what point in the offseason, how far does this thing go before you start to think, okay, that chance goes from 0% to now we're maybe not panicking, but there's a realistic possibility he's not there week 1. Does that point come at all this offseason, or where does it come if it does in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer that there's certain aspects that help the team, right? You don't want to kind of treat any player differently on the team. However, there are certain cases where exceptional people you can give like exceptional grace to, and Nick Bosa fits that category of an exceptional person, right?
Yeah,
he always comes in healthy. We know he's a beast when it comes to keeping himself fit. I don't know how much he benefits from practice, and actually him not being there gives a lot of opportunities to some guys that I think need more reps to be able to really solidify that. So I don't know from a practice perspective, or if there's, I think Nick Bosa could walk into week 1 and be dominant. I don't think he needs a training camp for that. Now, what I guess would be worried about is, why is this taking so long? Like, we already know that we need him here, right? We already know that he needs to get paid to be the highest defensive player ever. Like, what's the holdup? Like, at a certain point, it just is what it is, right? How much are we trying to comb through the details, and why is it taking so long? Because I could imagine Nick Bosa wants to be on the field with his guys. Like, this is like the fun time, being with the guys, being with the team, and we know he's a really good teammate and a leader on the team. So I'm sure he's itching to be out there. I'm just a little confused as far as why it's taking so long. I'm sure it's being held up on Parag's side because he's trying to figure out the best way to make the money work, because obviously it's a lot of money. But as far as Nick Bosa, the player, I don't think it's going to take away from his production. I think he's going to come out week 1 and just be as dominant.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't think. I will say this: if they get through all their preseason games and he's still not signed, I'll have a little concern. Not concerned that he can't just come in off the streets essentially and be dominant, because I do believe I agree with that. But I'll start to think like, okay, this is not normal. We've already kind of exceeded not normal for the 49ers. By now, players would have already signed. So we're kind of in that area already, treading those waters. We know what the holdup is. It has to be that Bosa is not. It's the guaranteed money. He wants a crap ton of guaranteed money. He deserves a crap ton of guaranteed money, upfront money. And the 49ers just don't do that historically. So that's where the tug of war is happening. And Bosa's not going to give in. He's just not. He comes from a family that has been through these negotiations. I remember I had a question last season, going into last offseason, and somebody asked, hey, what are the chances of Nick Bosa just signing early? And I said 0% chance. Nick Bosa is going to bet on himself. And that's exactly what he did. And then he won Defensive Player of the Year, had a crap ton of sacks, and he's won the bet. So he absolutely is going. He'll hold out if any player on this roster will hold out and doesn't need money, it's Nick Bosa.
Yeah, and
So
the 49ers don't have any leverage.
Mess around. They have
There's no
zero leverage.
Yeah.
Zero leverage right now. Zero leverage. So the holdup right now is on the 49ers side because Bosa's going to be very clear as to what his demands are, and he will not budge. So, it's just interesting because we have essentially two titans when it comes to negotiations going head to head, and the 49ers are the ones that are going to have to crumble on this one. But when they do that, then all of a sudden, what does that look like for future leveraging points with future players as they start to sign? What does that look like for Ayuk next year? So, those things start to get interesting. But yeah, I think, again, right now I still put it at 0% chance that he's not there week 1. But if they go through the whole preseason and he's still not assigned, is still not signed. Geez, English is really tough. Then I will be concerned that this might last into the season, and that would be horrendous.
Yeah, and the 49ers can't afford that, right? We know how important games are. Positions in the playoffs are going to be separated by one game here or there, right? So it's really, really important. You can't really take any game for granted. So they need Nick Bosa there because he obviously makes this defense. I don't know if this defense is elite without him. Let's just put it that way. But the 49ers have zero. That's what I'm confused about because the 49ers really don't have any leverage. Like, Nick Bosa did everything to be paid the way that he wants to be paid. I think that, when you mentioned, does this change the precedent for other players? I don't think it does, right? You have to be. Nick Bosa is elite of the elite, and I think other players on the team understand that they're not at the level of Nick Bosa. Even Ayuk, if he goes out and he has a Pro Bowl year or whatnot, he's still not at the level of Nick Bosa, so he doesn't have that same clout. Maybe Fred Warner had that, right? He's somebody who was the best at his position and all pro level player, but even Fred, I don't think, has the clout that a Nick Bosa has, right? So I don't think it's going to necessarily set a precedent or make negotiations harder for the 49ers in the future. But I just think that it's kind of, I wonder what that number is, how far apart they are for it not to have gotten done at this point.
Yeah, I kind of know how far apart they are too. We know that that's what it is, the guaranteed money, but how far apart? That's a good question.